Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nothing to See Here podcast. Hi, it's Frankie.
It's Hannah.
I, Hannah, what's my name in this today, this recording? What do I have it
Gollum.
listed as? Gollum. Yeah.
Gollum.
Yeah. That kind of relates to what we're talking about. It's not Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna say a bunch of
Of course,
weird
it's
ass
not
names.
Lord of the Rings. You spelled it wrong.
Did I? I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
It's spelled Gollum.
U-M?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry. Regardless, I'm gonna say some batshit crazy names today, and they all, just a hint, give me like Lord of the Rings D&D character vibes. So
Is your story set in New Zealand?
no,
It's in Norway, isn't it?
yeah, it's in Norway.
Close enough.
They're Norwegian names, and you just can't pronounce them.
That's no. I'm talking about the pseudonyms that these people, these fuckers, go by.
Okay. Hannah, you sent us a text. You said you had an insane question for us.
Yeah, speaking of batshit insane, uh, do you guys think you could trick a cop if you
Try.
put cocaine in a bag and the bag was labeled powdered sugar?
No, it's not fine enough. I'm sorry.
I don't think I could trick a cop with that, but I'm more
You could
concerned
smell
about
it.
I'm more concerned about why you're asking the question.
I'm not saying my spice cabinet has a bag of powdered sugar or cocaine in it currently, but I'm not saying that.
Man, the
So
energy is weird tonight.
it's a very weird kind of energy. I'll make it even weirder. I got a text from Erica, and Erica just, I guess, listened to our most recent episode that was just released. The
A
what was it?
secret.
The
Secret,
secret.
a treasure hunt.
She texted me at like 10 a.m. this morning. She's like, "If we're still single in a few years, you want to get married?" I
Erica,
asked.
no, I'm marrying Amanda. You cannot
I
marry
asked.
Amanda for her health insurance.
I asked if she listened to the most recent podcast episode, and she's like, "Yes, I did." I said, "I'll have to check with Hannah if that's okay." And Erica says,
No,
"I understand completely. I'm also open to a three-person marriage."
Well, that's not legal.
yeah, unfortunately, that's not legal, and I want your health insurance. I'm
Man, this
sorry,
is
Erica.
this is what we get for one, recording on a Saturday. Weird energy vibes. And two, me not remembering we had a recording until Hannah texted us and said, "Hey, I have an insane question for you guys tonight on the episode."
So glad I sent that.
I'm glad too. Otherwise, I would not have sent a link.
Hey,
I
Amanda was waiting in Discord
I
for
was.
once tonight, so she would have texted you.
I would have. Yeah. I'm very excited for this episode. I'm not excited. Okay. That once we get into some of the topic matter, people are going to be like, "Why are you excited about this?" It's really interesting. I would have never thought that this could all happen, but it did. So,
Well, before we get to your topic, I just want to propose something really quickly.
yeah.
Okay.
An Erica minute every episode. We get the updates of what she has to say about the newest release.
If we have any updates from Erica.
If we
Yeah,
have
if
any
she
updates, I
remembers.
would like to propose an Erica minute.
If she remembers, you're going to have to run that by her.
I'm just gonna wait for this episode to drop. That's gonna be me asking her.
Yeah, so when this
Hey,
episode drops in August,
Yes?
you have
just,
the
just
I have your names, Doc, so I could piecemeal it together.
Let me see, because I
But
did
I have it open
just
right
add more.
now.
I just added more dates to the
So yeah,
document.
this episode will come out on August 28th. So at the
Okay.
end of August, when we drop this episode, we'll learn what Erica's answer is.
I'm going to get a random text message and I'm not going to know what it is. It's just going to say yes.
Because you haven't
And
listened
I'm
to
going
the
to have to,
episode yet. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm going to have to text back, "Yes, what?"
What the fuck are you talking about?
Because she's just going to text me yes with no context.
I know.
And if this is coming out in August, I'm not going to fucking remember.
I wouldn't either. I couldn't even remember we were recording, and we agreed on that last week.
We did.
I've had a busy day today, to be fair.
I also want to, before I jump into my episode, I want to apologize to Franklin live on air.
Oh, I'm getting an apology? I don't know why.
Ooh,
Yeah,
are you coming for my crown of longest episode?
I
huh?
swear to God, if that's why you're apologizing, I will
Oh,
leave midway through.
no. I'm not talking about this for a really long period of time.
Okay, all right. What is it then?
Uh, I wanted to apologize because I called you
Hmm. You did?
and and then I didn't hear back from you. So then I called you using my mother's phone, and she told me she lied. She told me that you didn't call her back. So I then texted you and asked if you were ignoring me and was going to give you a hard time about it.
Yeah, and what happened is you called me at like 7:45 a.m. and I was still sleeping because I work from home on Fridays. So I was in little
Mm.
sleep land, and then I was leaving my house to go out, and I had a bunch of stuff in my hand, so I didn't see the call from your mom's phone. And then I did, so I got in my car and I drove a little bit so my phone would connect, and then I called and I got no answer.
If it makes you feel any better, she left her phone in the car, so that's why. I apologize for
And then
wanting
yeah,
to
I got
yell
a
at you.
text. Got a text today like, "Are you ignoring me?" No,
That's the worst thing that you can do to me, which is why I hate it. I hate it so much.
I know.
So, and I get defensive, so I'm apologizing.
I accept your apology graciously.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did give my mother hell for not checking her fucking phone.
Okay,
How can you not tell that there's a message? She has an iPhone. How can you not tell there's a message? There's big ass red notifications that make your phone look disgusting
let's
if you don't
say
open.
you had a missed call. Yeah. Anyway, Amanda, it's your turn to host the episode.
And it's not Disney. Actually, this is so far away from Disney-esque things. People who don't know me are gonna be like, she went from Bambi to this fucking thing? What's wrong with her? And she's excited about it? Yeah, I am a little bit.
I'm also
Um,
excited.
I am gonna put this out there. First and foremost, this episode that I am doing delves into some real heavy subject matter, and it's pretty consistent throughout the entirety of it. So, if that's not your cup of tea, I would click off. The subject matter includes murder and suicide.
That's a general content warning for the whole episode.
The entire episode. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I gotta put it out there. I gotta let you know because I feel like I'd be a dick if I didn't. So what are we talking about? What do you guys think we're talking about? Frankie, I know you know a little bit, but Hannah, what do you think we're talking about?
You told me uh churches were burning and for reasons you said it was because of a music genre, I believe.
Correct.
So I'm assuming this has to do with rock and roll or like metal.
Oh, the
Oh.
devil's music, rock and
Mhm.
roll, Hannah. Come on.
Yeah,
How dare you bring that into my household?
in your good Christian household.
Yeah. On our
On
They're
our
good
good
on our good
Christian
Christian parenting podcast.
yes,
podcast. Uh,
Absolutely gross.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. So we are talking about metal. You're correct. Specifically, a genre called black metal. Anybody hear about it?
that's like the
What's your
heavy duty
guys's
stuff.
yeah?
The,
What's your guys' relationship to metal music?
I listened to some Disturbed this morning.
Okay,
I don't have much I listen to some metal, but like not a lot.
Hannah.
I don't really listen to metal music. I don't have anything against it.
I have a father who very much enjoys music. When I was down visiting him, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I was up in his bar and he has a bunch of like metal records. That was a motorcycle. He has a lot of, it's very fitting. He has a lot of metal records. And I will say something that I really like about like I don't want to call it early metal, but some of like the 80s and 90s metal is the album art that is on it. really kind of fucked up album art, dead bodies and stuff. They're all paintings and stuff like that, but it is really artistic in a way. So yeah, the artwork that I found on these like vinyl record covers was really cool. I was looking and I was kind of digging around. I was doing some cleaning and stuff, and I came across this book called Lords of Chaos. Let me double check the authors' names real quick because, of course, I wrote down all of my notes, but I did not. Um, I did not write my source material down because I'm not Hannah. The novel, oh God, Diedrich Soderlin and Michael Moynihan. The book is called Lords of Chaos. It was actually made into a movie in 2019, 2018, and it stars McCulkin brother. Macaulay Culkin. Yeah. Don't watch the movie. It's a piece of shit. But the book is where I got a lot of my information. So I read this book and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. How did I not hear about this? Hence, I am sharing it with you. Before we get into some of the cooler things, let's first talk about the roots of black metal because I'm assuming you guys don't know the roots of it, correct?
Correct.
All right. All right. So in the late 70s, there was a form of rough and really aggressive heavy metal music that gained popularity. And this was led by the British band Motorhead. A lot of these bands from what's known as the first wave of black metal would cite Motorhead as an influence. Also, early in the 70s, a lot of occult and satanic themes influenced black metal. They were present in a lot of heavy metal and rock bands in the late 60s and the early 70s. I'm talking like bands like Black Sabbath and Coven. I think you guys have heard of Black Sabbath.
I have heard of those bands. Yes.
Does somebody know the front man for Black Sabbath? Want to take a stab at it?
It's Ozzy Osbourne. Everyone knows this.
Okay, well, Hannah didn't. I guarantee you
I
Hannah
was
didn't.
blanking. I'm like, I can picture him in my mind. What is his name? He ate a bat.
He did eat a bat. Also, the use of corpse paint, quote, corpse
Yes.
paint, in the imagery of black metal was influenced by the band Kiss. Although Kiss isn't really corpse paint considered, it was an influence of corpse paint or for corpse paint, but it isn't corpse paint. It's stage makeup. What is corpse paint? So you're going to hear that term a lot, and it is kind of like a main identifier for black metal. Corpse paint is defined as a style of body painting mainly used by black metal bands for concerts and band photos. It's used to make musicians appear inhuman, corpse like, or demonic. It typically involves making the face and neck white or pale, sometimes with red marks to imply blood or lacerations. They typically put black around the eyes and mouth to again make the face look kind of sunken in. Corpse paint is deemed the most identifiable aspect of the black metal aesthetics. So if you go to a concert and you see somebody who looks like a corpse on stage and has like white and black face paint, purposely looking like a corpse, you're probably out of black metal. So that's where the roots stem from. So let's get into the first wave. I'll be honest, we really don't care too much about the first wave, but I do need to give you guys some context. So I'm going to try and speed run this. So the first wave of black metal started around the 1980s with bands taking influence from earlier artists and themes that we previously discussed. In today's music standards, the sound of black metal is closer to that traditional heavy metal, thrash metal, and or speed metal. The term black metal was created by the English band Venom with their second album, also named Black Metal, and this was released in 1982. This album is now typically more associated with speed or thrash metal. This was kind of like the starter for the genre of music. The lyrics and imagery in the album also focused heavily on anti-Christian and satanic themes than any others before it. The music in this album was described as fast, unpolished, and with raspy or grunted vocals. I listened to this album for research. It literally sounded like it was recorded with a blown out speaker. That is my personal opinion. And it sounded like literally a dead body grunting at times.
Good.
Or
That's what I like to
yeah.
hear.
Yeah, it was just like that was all I was getting. So Venom's band members would also utilize pseudonyms for a more immersive experience. For example, the founder of Venom, his name was Conrad Lant, also went by the name Kronos. And I do
One of
get it.
those names sound a lot better than the other.
Yeah,
I
big fan of Greek mythology.
It's spelled with a C, but yeah.
Well, I didn't say he could spell well. He's just a fan.
I do. I To be fair, I get it. It really take me out of the experience if I was listening to a really dark and twisted imagery at a concert and one of the band members then referred to somebody and was like, "Hey Jeff," instead of like, "Hey Blood Dagger."
You don't want to be like, give it up for the drummer, Chad.
Yeah, no. Also, just as another side note, a lot of these names are going to be Norwegian names, so I'm so sorry if I mispronounce anything. Conrad Lant was probably the easiest one. Another band that was a major influence for the black metal um, scene was a Swedish metal band called Bathory. They would be credited with creating the blueprint for Scandinavian black metal. Later on, they would pioneer a style that they called Viking metal. It was kind of dope.
Did they wear the Viking helmets that you can get at Party City?
I didn't look it up, but I really hope they do. I hope they wear the helmets and I hope they get drunk. The last band that I'm going to discuss in this first wave is called Merciful Fate, which would also go on to influence the Norwegian scene, as their frontman, King Diamond, commonly wore corpse paint on stage. Other bands considered to be part of this first wave included bands called Hellhammer, Celtic Frost, and Morbid Angel. I'm just naming a few. There was literally a whole list. Sorry, metal fans, if you're listening to this, I know you're out there and I know how intense this is for you. I am not listing like 30 bands. I got shit to do, I got places to be. This is where shit starts going off. The second wave of black metal, or the Norwegian black metal scene. We're in Norway. Frankie, what do you know about Norway?
It's up north.
Anything else?
No. I don't spend a lot of my time learning about Norway. Sorry.
Norway is a very beautiful country. It has a lot of very Christianity, like how do I want to put this? Their cities are very like prim and proper and like Christianity is flowing. Like Oslo, Norway looks beautiful. So
Norway is picturesque and has a very strong Christian influence.
yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Also, what year are we in? The second wave hits in what year?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the second wave of black metal began in the early 90s. And it mainly started in Norway, which is why we're gonna, for the entire rest of this story, we're in Norway. So the second wave of black metal began in the early 90s. And throughout the 90s, numerous artists began performing and releasing a new kind of black metal music. An aspect of this new black metal music is attributed to a new kind of guitar playing developed by Snore Blackthorn Rutch and Oystein Euronymous Arseth.
Can you
And
repeat
this,
those names?
I hate you so much. Snore
Okay.
Rutch also goes by
I
the
just
name.
wanted to make sure I heard snore.
It is spelled Snorre. How else am I supposed to pronounce that?
Snorre.
I hate you.
It's Norwegian, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that as a joke. I watched it. There's an episode of Bones where they find a skeleton hanging at a Norwegian black metal band show, and the name of the band is Skulle, and it's Skulle.
Snorre Blackthorn Rutch and Oystein Euronymous Arseth developed this new kind of guitar playing. And this guitar playing, technically its picking, is called the tremolo. So this involves rapid and continuous up and down picking motions on guitar strings. It kind of makes like this kind of wall of sound type thing. It's like like real fast.
You want to make that
Uh,
sound again? That was fun.
no, I don't.
Okay.
Wearing corpse paint was also a standard way for black metal artists to distinguish themselves from other metal genres and bands during this era. Black metal also started to kind of create its own ideology and ethos, right? People who were in the black metal scene were presenting themselves as opposed to Christianity, and they were devil worshippers whose aim was to spread terror, evil, and hatred. It's very cheesy, very flashy, very showy. I feel like these would be great wrestlers. They have a lot of heart. They have a lot of creativity. These bands, they kind of sought to create fear upon people and be in opposition to society. They were like, they were just like, everybody are posers, and we are not posers. So we're going to demolish all of the posers type thing. Like that was really what it was feeling like. I will say, I think most of these people were a lot of talk. Like a lot of talk, no bite, nothing like that. But as we will see, some of these people actually believe this. Now, before we get into some crazy shit, let's talk about two major players, both of whom are part of the black metal band Mayhem. Oystein Arsneth. Remember him? Euronymous? Okay, he made the tremolo thing I talked about. He was born in Surrendal, Norway. So sorry, Norway. On March 22nd, 1968. He is the same age as my father.
And he's an Aries.
How do you know this? You just know that? Just by
I
heart?
know a very vague. I know the zodiac dates very vaguely, and
Gotcha.
only some of them. But I can remember the first I think 5, which it's
Okay.
Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. After that, I don't know.
Gotcha. Well, put that on your resume.
So we have some Aries fire sign energy.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
So Euronymous is derived from the demon Euronymos, and this name that he coined for himself was inspired by the Hailhammer song of the same name, Euronymos. In 1984, he would form the band Mayhem at age of 16, I believe, with his bassist Jorn Necro Butcher
Necro
Stubbrudder.
Butcher. You were saying earlier like they could be wrestlers. That is the name of a wrestler. There is a wrestler named Necro Butcher.
I think he was inspired by this dude.
He might have been.
It might be the same
Uh,
dude. Who knows?
yeah. His bassist, Necro Butcher, and drummer Ketchel Maynard. Maynard would later leave the band. The band's vocalist, though, would change over the years as well before they found a prominent one. In 1988, the lineup would change, with their drummer becoming Jan
Yawn.
Jan Axel Hellhammer Blomberg, and adding the vocalist Per Dead Olin, who is the second major figure that we will talk about. So we got Euronymous and we have Dead. Per
Debt.
Dead.
Dead.
D-A
Okay.
yeah. D-E-A-D.
Okay.
So Per was
I
born on
think
January.
debt would have been funnier.
You're gonna see why his name was Dead.
I think I already know, but continue.
Per was born on January 16th, 1969, in the Stockholm country of Sweden, not Norway. As a young child, around the age of 10, he suffered internal bleeding when his spleen ruptured after what was said to be an ice skating accident. However, later on, Per's brother would state that the rupture was a result of a severe beating by bullies. Whatever the cause was, Per had to be rushed to the hospital and was declared clinically dead for a few moments before being resuscitated. Hence where the name Dead came from. Pear founded the band Morbid in 1986, and they released a demo tape called December Moon. Actually sounds kind of nice. I'm sure it wasn't, but it sounds kind of nice. This didn't go anywhere, and he decided to contact the band Mayhem, Euronymous' band, as he knew they were in need of a new frontman and vocalist. According to Necro Butcher, Frankie's favorite so far, Dead sent the band members a package containing a demo tape, a letter detailing some ideas for the future, and a crucified dead mouse.
I was gonna say that was like a really good business proposal until you got to that last part.
I knew it was coming. I knew there was going to be something shady in the box.
But did you know it was gonna be a crucified dead mouse?
I thought it was going to be a head.
Do you think they maybe dressed him up as Mickey Mouse?
No.
The band, Mayhem, was so impressed by Pear that they asked him to become the vocalist for Mayhem. Subsequently, Pear would move to Norway in 1988. I'm going to refer to Pear as Dead now, from now on, because he is now dead.
Not physically, just,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's his stage name. Dead went to extreme lengths to achieve his desired image and atmosphere on stage. He would cover his face in corpse paint, but unlike other artists, it was deemed that Dead wanted to do this because he actually wanted to look like a corpse. Dead would also bury his stage clothes in the dirt and dig them up again to wear them on nights of concerts. It said he did this so they would start to rot and get that grave scent.
Yum, yum, yum.
According to Hellhammer, once he even asked us to bury him in the ground. He wanted his skin to become pale.
I have a trick for that. Just don't go outside.
This might be. I don't know. Aren't Norwegian people pale to begin with?
I don't know what their cloud coverage is like up there.
I feel like it's not great, or I think it's a lot. I feel like they don't get a lot of sun. That's what I'm trying to say. I could be wrong.
Maybe they do though. Maybe they're just big sun fans. They love the sun.
Maybe I'm thinking of Iceland. To be fair, I get like Sweden, Norway, and Iceland all confused.
They're not even near each other, though.
Shut up, Franklin.
That is the most random trio.
Why not Finland? Finland's closer.
That's it. That's what I wanted. It's another land.
Do you know where Norway is on the map?
Yeah, it's right next to Sweden.
Do you know where Iceland is on the map?
Yeah, to be. I don't know. I know what Sweden looks like because if you just like sequester Sweden off alone, it looks like a dick.
Very good, Amanda.
Thank you. Some more fun, interesting stuff about Dead. During a tour with Mayhem, Dead found a deceased crow and he kept it in a plastic bag. He would carry it with him and would smell the animal before going on stage so that he could sing with the stench of death in his nostrils. He would also keep dead geese under his bed.
Did no one stop to think?
Sorry,
this
geese?
Serial
geese?
killer?
Dead geese?
Yeah.
How'd he kill the goose? Geese are vicious.
It said that he did kill animals.
Yeah, I'm with Hannah. This is a serial killer.
Okay, are Norwegian geese, are they different from like the Canadian goose? Are they friendly?
I don't know. I didn't do my research about geese. I'm sorry.
Now you know how I feel every time you ask me if someone is related to a famous person in my episodes.
Fine. Dead would also cut himself while singing on stage. One night, during a show in Jessam, on February 3rd, 1990, he slashed his arm with a broken bottle so severely that he had to be taken to the hospital afterwards. However, he arrived too late and, quote, it was no use to give him stitches. Put him in the fucking psych ward! What do you mean, no use? We didn't
Were
have
they just gonna let him bleed out?
No, I guess it must have clotted or something. Like, he went to the hospital and they're like, it's fine. It's fine. Nothing we can do.
So it wasn't that severe then. If it clotted, it and he was quote unquote fine.
I don't know. This was a really confusing thing for me. I think he went to the hospital, but I think once they got there, there was just like, you know what? I'll be fine. I don't
So
I
he's
don't
afraid
know.
of needles?
I don't know, Hannah. This one I tried to do research and I didn't get anywhere with it. This is all I got for you. Dead would also work to expel posers from Mayhem shows. Recounting in one interview with the fanzine, which is a fan magazine, the fanzine Slayer, he said, "Before we begin to play, there was a crowd of about 300 in there. But in the second song, Necrolust, we began to throw around those pig heads. Only 50 were left. If someone doesn't like blood and rotten flesh thrown in their face, they can fuck off." And that's exactly what they do. End quote.
I don't even know where to begin with that.
They were throwing dead, rotten pig heads into the crowd.
Yeah.
Dead was described as odd and introverted. Depressed.
Just like what they said about serial killers.
Yeah. Depressed, dark, and melancholic. People said that he was hard to get close to. Euronymous once said, "I honestly think Dead is mentally insane. Which other way can you describe a guy who does not eat in order to get starving wounds, or has a t-shirt with funeral announcements on it?" Dead also had a fascination with the occult, stating for a long time that his grandmother practiced white magic, which kind of cool.
Grandma, I like. Dead, no.
Dead, no.
No.
It's also speculated that Dead may have had Cotard syndrome. This is a rare condition where a person believes that they are not a living human, but are instead a rotting corpse. This is a
I
real
mean,
thing.
yeah, I know that's a real thing, and that kind of explains a few things. But otherwise, this man needs a grippy sock vacation.
Oh, for sure. I imagine they had psych wards. They may not be as nice as
They were not anywhere near what they are today, but
might have
a
been
grippy
needed.
sock vacation would do him well.
Yeah. With time, Dead's fixation with death, and I'm sure also his social influences, if you're surrounding yourself by a bunch of other dark, depressed dudes, these would cause his mental state to worsen. He would often casually cut himself while in the presence of his friends, who would then subdue him and treat his wounds. While most of his friends became upset by this, Euronymous is said to have grown fascinated by Dead's suicidal ideologies because he felt that the extreme negativity fit Mayhem's image. It is said that due to this, Euronymous encouraged Dead to kill himself. It is unknown if this was done maliciously or if he was just fooling around and trying to amplify the image. Fuck Euronymous, too.
Yeah. I don't think there is any fooling around when you tell someone to off themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely not. By the way, this might be a good time to add in if you or anyone that you know is thinking of harming yourself or having suicidal ideations, please get help. Please reach out to somebody and tell them. There are people out there who would listen and will listen. We're not alone. Hannah will have in the episode description numbers for local and national crisis hotlines. In 1991, Dead, Euronymous, and Hellhammer were living in a house in the woods near Krostad. Oh God, another Norwegian name. Don't know. And this was where the band would live and rehearse. Mostly rehearse. I guess live. It was said that while living here, Euronymous and Dead got on each other's nerves. Hellhammer recounted a story where Dead once had to go outside to sleep in the woods because Euronymous was playing a synth music that Dead hated. Euronymous later antagonized Dead further by following him outside and shooting a shotgun multiple times in the air.
One of those things is not like the other.
They kill themselves or the shooting the gun?
The synth music was a funny little antidote where friends got on each other's nerves.
I don't know about the shotgun thing, though.
Yeah, that one, not so much.
I think we all knew that this was gonna come. On April 8th, 1991, while alone in the house, Dead used a hunting knife to slit both of his wrists and throat, then shooting himself in the forehead with a shotgun. He left a brief suicide note, which began with the lines, "Excuse the blood." He was 22 years old.
Okay, that is fucking sad. I feel bad because I made fun of this man.
I will say, he needed help,
Yeah.
but the people he was surrounding himself with thought that this was, and I will say, reading this book, Lords of Chaos, I think a lot of people, because the whole thing with black metal is this whole ideology of like, oh, I'm so sad and I'm so depressed and life fucking sucks and everything. So of course people are going to influence that because that's kind of what the whole metal thing is about.
That's the
So I
brand.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think a lot of them were just like, oh, this is just like imagery and stuff. And I don't think that they ever thought that it was gonna get this bad or it would get this bad.
They didn't realize that it was what he was saying was real.
Right.
They thought it
I
was part of the image.
I truly do believe that, like, after reading and doing research, I think Cotard syndrome is definitely on the table here. I'm not going to read the entirety of the suicide note, but there is a line that said, "To give some semblance of an explanation, I am not human. This is a dream, and I soon will wake." His body was found by Euronymous. Euronymous had to climb through the window due to the doors being locked. Upon finding Dead's body, Euronymous did not call the cops at first. Instead, he went to a store to purchase a disposable camera, returned and rearranged items and possibly Dead's own body before taking photographs. Afterwards, he then called emergency services. Dead's suicide caused a rift between Euronymous and some of his friends, as Euronymous' friends were disgusted by his attitude towards Dead's suicide and his behavior regarding Dead's death. It's speculated that Euronymous had willfully left Dead alone so that he would have a chance to kill himself. Euronymous is a piece of shit. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. Don't care what you think of me for it. Just for more context about this piece of shit, here's how Necrobutcher was told by Euronymous about Dead's suicide. He said, Oyston called me the next day and said, Dead has done something really cool. He killed himself. And I thought, have you lost it?
No.
Cool. Yeah. He says, relax. I have photos of everything. I was in shock and grief. He was just thinking how to exploit it. So I told him, don't even fucking call me before you destroy those pictures. So pretty bad dude, right?
I'm also getting serial killer vibes.
He doesn't kill anybody.
Okay.
Can't get any worse, right?
It's going to. I know
Yeah.
it.
Remember those photos he took?
When
Euronymous would.
when you said earlier that there was dead body images, like fake ones in album art,
Mhm.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Euronymous used one of those photos as the cover for a bootleg live album titled Dawn of the Black Hearts. Just as a side note, while doing the research, I did come across this album cover image. And oh my god, it is so hard for me to comprehend how someone could be so evil to showcase and exploit that. It was disgusting. Euronymous would use Dead suicide as a way to foster Mayhem's evil image, and unfortunately it worked. Black metal blew up, especially after the release of the above album and cover. People were talking about this shit everywhere. My dad even told me about it. He said that this was huge news. Black metal was already pretty like mainstream, kind of like how alternative bands are now, but this blew it up.
Yeah, that'll do it. How is there still a band at this point? Like, how has everyone not left?
A couple members did leave. Um, a couple members left. I think Euronymous was like the only. I mean, look at Panic at the Disco, right?
Yeah.
Who's the only member left of Panic at the Disco, and they'd still Panic at the Disco, right? Euronymous claimed that Dead committed suicide because black metal was becoming too trendy and commercialized. Rumors spread that Euronymous had made stew with bits of Dead's brain and had necklaces made with bits of his skull. The making stew from his brain rumors were denied by the band, but they did say that the necklace thing was true.
Was
said
it,
that
or was this promo?
I've heard conflicting reports. I've had some people, like some band members, say no, it was definitely like part of his skull, and I've had others be like, oh no, it was just like chicken bone or something. So really, we don't know. It is said that Euronymous had given these necklaces to musicians that he deemed worthy. Just as a side note, I will say, I want to mention, and this is not in any way defense of Euronymous, but some say that his way of coping was to go into this fantasy world that he had made up. I've heard of this before, right? Going into kind of this dissociative state, um, or creating this big like fantasy and living in it. Um, Regardless, it doesn't excuse being an asshole. I've said this before, and I've said this to many clients. But having mental health issues is no excuse for you to be a jackass. And I think jackass is a pretty loose term for this. Now we're going to get into something. We went from really heavy, now we're going to get to something really fucking stupid. Helvet and the Black Circle. Euronymous, unfortunately, became this prominent and central figure in the Norwegian black metal scene.
Of course he did.
Between May, yeah, of course he did. Yeah, between May and June of 1991, he opened a record shop in Oslo called Helvet, which is Norwegian for hell. Black metal musicians would often meet in the basement, like little D&D nerds, and they were dubbed the Black Circle, which was allegedly coined by Euronymous.
Was
He
this like a
presented,
members only club down there?
yeah,
That's such a middle school edgelord thing to do.
I know.
All right, everyone, we're gonna hang out in my mom's basement, and we're all gonna call ourselves the Black Circle.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's basically what it was. Like it was like a bunch of like little middle school boys. Like
I
that's
can
really what it
smell
was.
the Axe body spray.
It wasn't even Axe body spray. I
You
guarantee you they
you
didn't
wish they were
smell.
wearing deodorant.
Yeah.
Sure.
This was like World of Warcraft. Remember when that was huge and like you would meet up in each other's basements and like bring your computers and set up and you would just like I remember having friends, like friends' brothers who like World of Warcraft and oh my god, the smell. He presented the Black Circle as an organized cult like group of militant Satanists, and it said that their activities were funded by the sales in the record shop. They didn't do anything. It is said that many young and inspiring musicians flocked to the record shop for a chance to be in the Black Circle and deemed not a poser in the black metal scene. Basically, Euronymous was out here being like, listening to these like new young musicians and being like, well, I don't know if you're, if you're black metal. You might be more of like the Black Sabbath or the Kiss. Like, I don't think you belong here type thing. Like he was the one dictating who was and who was not black metal in a way.
And I guarantee they're all like children. They're all teenagers trying to impress this like 30-year-old dude.
These guys are all Euronymous was only in his 20s around this time. So I think I didn't write the name of the record label, but he also created a record label, and a lot of like black metal musicians would release their albums underneath his record label. A former member of the Black Circle, the drummer from the band Emperor, Bard Faust Eaton, said that it was just a name for people who hung around the shop. We didn't do anything.
That
It was
checks
said
out.
that Yeah. It was said that Euronymous made up this rumor because he wanted people to believe it did exist, despite it being nonsense. For a while, though, the media, of course, did believe in its existence before figuring out that it was just a fake hoax type thing. Euronymous would end up shutting down Helvet in 1993, and we'll talk about why a little later on. but the store has since been reopened under the name Nesblad Records, which is nosebleed in Norwegian. A lot of original artifacts are still present, and it's become somewhat of a black metal museum. In these basement hangouts, this is what I'm going to fucking call them, the members of the Black Circle talked about and shared their ideologies, which included the opposition of Christianity and organized religion, being in favor of totalitarianism, and against peace and happiness. They were advocates for evil and said that some of the black metal band members flirted with Nazi imagery as well, but this was largely just to provoke outrage.
Calling themselves advocates of evil is also one of the dorkiest things.
And I said that they were like little weird Lord of the Ring D&D nerds.
They're just lame.
Yeah, they are lame. They're very cringe. Most people who knew Euronymous said that he did this to create a fear in people. All of them generally said that this was all smoke and no fire. The extreme image that he projected was just that, an image, and had little resemblance at all to his real personality. And for most people, that was all the Black Circle was, all talk. However, as we'll see, some people took it too far. Most notably, Varg, Count Grishnak, Verkinist of the band Burzum, and of course Bard Faust Eton, who I mentioned above. Count Grisham sounds like a fucking Lord of the Rings name. He went by Count
I think you're
Grisham.
just making things up. These names, I think you're just making them up as you go along.
I wish I was, Hannah. I really wish I was. It's bad. They're bad names. All right, here's where we get into the fires. Church arsons. In 1992, members of the Norwegian black metal scene began a wave of arson attacks on Christian churches. By 1996, there had been at least 50 attacks in Norway. Every case that was solved, they found that those responsible were either black metal fans or musicians of black metal bands. This is such a shame because some of these buildings were historical landmarks that were thousands of years old. So fuck these little fuckers. The first church burning was the Fantofstave Church, which was burnt to the ground on June 2nd, 1992. Police believe that Varg, Count Grishnak, was responsible. Also, just as a side note, the cover of Burzum's, Varg's band's name, EP, Ashes, featured a photograph of the burnt down church. Feels like a calling card.
A little bit.
Yeah. Following this, members of the black metal scene and fans began to burn down churches. It kind of became like a pissing contest. People were literally like, "Oh, I burnt down a church, bloodface. Yeah, well, I burnt down 3 churches." They were literally one-upping each other with church burnings, because that's cool. Unfortunately, these burnings would result in the death of one firefighter, who was killed battling the fire of a Methodist church in Sarpsborg. However, out of the 50 arsons, there was only 1 fatality, so that is somewhat good. Would have liked it to have been 0, but it could have been worse. In 1994, Varg would be found guilty of burning down, the Holmenkollen Chapel, Skudge Church, and Asen Church, 3 churches, and found guilty in an attempted arson of a 4th church, and theft and storage of 150 kilograms of explosives. Do you know how pretty some of these churches were?
I don't, but I can imagine.
Look up the Stave Church.
I'll look it up later.
Look it up now.
I'm not gonna look it up now.
You suck. If you thought church burnings were bad, though, we do move on to murder. On the night of August 21st, 1992, Bard Faust Eton killed Magnan Andresen. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. A gay man who, according to Faust, sexually propositioned him. Faust agreed to walk with this man to Olympic Park, But once they were in the woods, Faust stabbed him 37 times, kicking him in the head repeatedly as he lay on the ground. Faust claimed that he had no remorse at the time, though I believe since he's done his time in prison that has changed. A bandmate of Faust said that Faust had been very fascinated by serial killers for a long time, and I guess he wanted to know what it was like to kill a person. Police initially had no suspects, and Faust remained free for about a year. The media, however, was quick to link the murders to black metal. Faust said that he had told Euronymous, Varg, and a few others about the stabbing, and the day after the stabbing, he allegedly went and burned down Holmenkollen Chapel with Euronymous and Varg. In 1993, August 1993, after what we will discuss next, Faust was arrested and confessed to the murder and was sentenced in 1994 to 14 years in prison. He was released in 2003.
Questions.
Yes.
When you say the media connected the murder to black metal, do you mean they connected it because there was some evidence leading to the killer, or just because satanic panic?
Satanic panic, definitely.
Okay.
I will
say. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Second question. He was brought in for the murder, or because he burned down a church and then he just confessed to the murder?
I'll explain how he was. It has to do with what we're gonna cover next.
Okay. Okay then.
He was pulled in as kind of like an associate along with some others. Before we move on to this next thing, I will say that there is an infamous interview, an article that Varg had in one of Norway's biggest papers that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. I'm not going to go into detail about it though, because literally it's just an asshole talking shit, essentially. In early 1993, animosity was brewing between Euronymous and Varg. It is said that it started due to Euronymous shutting Helvet, the record shop, down due to all the media and police attention. Varg would be said that by doing so, quote, he also made all of my efforts more or less pointless, end quote. On the night of August 10th, 1993, Varg and Snore Blackthorn Rutch, I keep calling him Snore, I'm gonna keep doing it, drove from Bergen to Euronymous' apartment in Oslo. When they arrived, there was a confrontation, and Varg stabbed Euronymous to death. His body was found outside of his apartment with 23 stab wounds, 16 in his back, 5 in the neck, 2 in the head. Some sources I read said that the knife Varg used was actually stuck in Euronymous' head. He was 25 years old. So this is not a long window of time.
No, Euronymous, I feel like, should be 50 at this point.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time, but this was a very quick succession, it feels like. It was speculated that Euronymous' murder was the result of a power struggle between him and Varg. Varg denies this and claims that he killed Euronymous in self-defense. Because of course he's going to claim the self-defense. I feel like everybody claims self-defense or insanity. And I think he should have gone with insanity.
There might have been some better results, because 23 stab wounds on self-defense, mostly in the back.
What does that
don't connect. They don't connect.
What do you think about that, lawyer boy?
Hannah's on top of it.
You're very quiet today,
I know the
Frank.
law. I know I can claim my cocaine as powdered sugar.
You can't do that. That's not.
I don't
For the
think you
record,
can.
I do not have cocaine. It is actually powdered sugar.
I was gonna say, I don't think you can. You can powdered sugar unless you get cocaine to smell that sweet. Does cocaine smell sweet?
I don't know. I've never smelled cocaine.
I don't think it has a smell.
I feel like it has a smell.
For the record, I have a 7-pound bag of powdered sugar. And it's just a fine white powder. So it got me thinking.
Varg said that Euronymous had plotted to stun him. This is, of course, part of his self-defense. Varg claimed that Euronymous had plotted to stun him with an electroshock weapon, tie him up, and torture him to death while filming the event. Varg also said that he went to Euronymous' place that night to hand Euronymous a signed contract and, quote, Tell him to fuck off, end quote.
It's good. Good
He
quote.
said that, yeah, it's a good quote. He said that Euronymous panicked and attacked him first. I truly think this was a power struggle. I don't believe this self-defense bullshit.
What did he claim they were fighting about?
He claimed they were fighting over a contract.
What was the contract for?
It didn't say.
Okay.
Varg was arrested on August 19th, 1993, and many others of the black metal scene were taken in for questioning. Hence above when I mentioned Faust, this was when he was taken in by police and confessed. Some of the people who were taken in for questioning confessed to their crimes, right, the church burnings and such, while others implicated other bands, other members, other people. In 1994, Varg was sentenced to 21 years in prison, which is Norway's maximum penalty for the murder of Euronymous and the other charges I listed above in regards to those church burnings and theft. 2 churches were burned the day he was sentenced as a statement of support for him. Blackthorn, the guy who came with Varg when he murdered Euronymous, you know, the kind of backseat person on that, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for being an accomplice to murder. That same month, the band Mayhem, right, the band that Euronymous coined and made, released their album De Mysteries dom Santa Hannes, which featured Euronymous on guitar and Varg on the bass guitar. Euronymous' family had asked Mayhem's drummer Hellhammer to remove the bass tracks recorded by Varg, but Hellhammer stated, and I quote, "I thought it was appropriate that the murderer and victim were on the same record."
Hellhammer is the only person I trust in this story.
I don't even know if I trust him. Frankie like Necro Butcher.
It's a good name. He has Necro Butcher done anything wrong this entire time?
No, Necro Butcher, I believe, actually left the band after Dead Suicide.
Yeah, see?
I'm with Frankie and Necro Butcher then.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he did.
He's just out there by himself.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So let's talk a little bit about Varg's imprisonment, because he's the only one of our 3 players left alive. Frankie, what do you know about Norway's prison system?
Nothing.
You know nothing.
Why would I? I don't live in Norway.
Hannah,
Isn't
do you know
it
anything?
supposed to be nice?
It's super nice, Hannah. Man, Frankie, get more culture, man. It is really nice. You can do a lot of things there. You're encouraged to do hobbies. You can go outside. Really, you can do a lot of things. The only thing you can't do is leave. Looking at some of these prison rooms, these look like comfortable little dorm rooms or like mini hotels or pod hotels. Varg would go on to make 2 albums while in prison with his band Burzum. Burzum? I don't know. I can't pronounce things. On April 8th, 1997, Norwegian police arrested 5 neo-Nazis in Hemnes. I'm going to use Hemnes. I'm going to go with Hemnes. According to police, these men were plotting attacks on political and religious figures in Norway and had plans to break Varg out of prison. Found on this group were guns, explosives, bulletproof vests, steel helmets, and baklavas. One of its members, Tom something, Elteresnes, had befriended Varg in prison before escaping while he was on leave. Varg's mother was arrested for supplying the group with 100,000 kroner, which is Norwegian money. She confessed, but later claimed that she did not know they were right-wing extremists and said that her son was being attacked by fellow inmates. In late 1996, his jaw had reportedly been broken in a fight with another inmate. However, the prison director said that Varg's mother's claims were unfounded, and police suspected that the money came from Varg himself. The authors of Lords of Chaos said that Varg adopted a skinhead look while in prison, wore a belt buckle with an SS insignia around the time as well. By the way, despite his mom's confession, she was not convicted, and in 1998, the case against those 5 neo-Nazis was also dropped.
Boo.
I don't know what's going on in Norway, but
I can understand the little old lady. Like maybe she's just old and confused and being told this shit. The others, Norway. Why?
More importantly, Norway police. Why? Or lawyers. Yeah, this is your people's fault, Frankie.
How is it my people's fault?
I don't know. Don't lawyers press charges?
No.
Or is that, I don't know.
It's the court
Vi-
system.
Victims
Yeah.
choose to press charges, and then prosecutors choose whether to prosecute or not.
So it's the prosecutor's fault.
Well, the victims didn't press charges. It depends on what crime. What crimes were they being charged with?
They were gonna break somebody out of prison. They were gonna plot attacks on political and religious figures, and they had guns, explosive, bulletproof vests, steel helmets, and baklavas.
That is a state. The state should have prosecuted that one then, yeah.
So I can say
I don't, but
Okay.
I don't. That's the American system. I don't know if that's how it works in Norway.
regardless.
Find
in
someone
case
who's
you forget.
Norwegian and ask them. I don't know.
I don't
Why didn't
know.
you?
I don't
Why
know any
didn't you?
Norwegian
Why didn't
people.
you do the research on it, Amanda? Huh? Why wasn't that part of your research? Huh? Why didn't you look into Norway? Huh?
You know how long I did research for this episode? This was like I watched the movie, I read the book, I looked at so many different websites. I came across a dead body on an album cover. I did a
What are
lot
your
for you guys.
sources? What are your sources?
Shut up. In the early 2000s, Varg regularly wrote articles in the magazine of a neo-pagan neo-Nazi group called Vigrid, because of course he did. On the 26th of October, I forgot to write the date, but at some point on the 26th of October, I'm assuming this is also in the early 2000s, Varg went on the run after being granted a short leave. He stopped a car in Numdal. Inside of it was a family of three. This family said that he hijacked their car at gunpoint. About 19 hours later, police stopped the car and arrested him. The car contained knives, a gas mask, camouflage clothing, a portable GPS navigator, maps, a compass, a laptop, and a mobile phone. Police also found a handgun and a G3 automatic rifle in a cabin in Rolgig, where Varg had hidden during his escape. They concluded that his escape was well planned and involved assistance from several people on the outside. Before the escape, Varg gave his mother a letter. In this letter, he wrote that he had received death threats and another inmate had tried to strangle him. For his actions of trying to escape, 13 months were added to Varg's sentence, and he was moved from a prison in Ringerike. In July 2004, he was then moved to a maximum security prison in Trondheim. The last 3 years of his prison sentence were spent in Tromsø prison. All of the Norwegian people are gonna hate me for just butchering all of these names.
All for
That's fine.
Norwegian fans, yeah.
In March 2009, his parole was announced. He had served only 15 years of his 21-year sentence.
Boo.
Yeah, I was really upset about it when I heard about it too. He subsequently moved to France with his wife. They have 7 kids. Slow the fuck down.
I'm amazed he has a wife.
I'm also amazed he has a wife, but we're gonna find out soon that his wife is also a piece of shit. Following his release from prison, Varg became an active video blogger on YouTube.
He's a YouTuber too.
YouTube would go on to remove his channel in
Good. YouTube
and
finally did something right.
Yeah, in 2019. However, when his channel was removed, it had about 250,000 subscribers. Although some of those people were probably also just subscribed for information on the band that he founded. I mean, he's still making music with them. On the 16th of July, 2013, Varg and his wife, who is a French national, were arrested in their home on suspicion of planning acts of terrorism after his wife bought 4 rifles. Officials later said that Varg's wife had a legal firearm permit to buy the rifles. The 2 were later released without charge after police failed to identify any terrorist plans or targets. Varg was then instead charged by the French authorities with inciting radical hatred against Jews and Muslims. This was due to posts on his blog, which included anti-Semitic posts that were taken down following the charges. Varg claimed that he had not written the posts, although the blog attributed all posts to him. On the 8th of July, 2014, Varg was convicted of inciting racial hatred and sentenced to 6 months of probation and a fine of 8,000 euros. So he's still a piece of shit after all this time.
I feel like he became an even bigger piece of shit.
Yeah, real piece of shit. I did see a quote from him. I'm not gonna read it, but he made some very racist remarks about the actor who played him in the Lords of Chaos movie because he was Jewish.
Once again, I'm shocked.
Yeah. We're nearing our end, so let's talk about the aftermath of this black metal movement. Some in the Norwegian black metal scene considered Varg a traitor for murdering Euronymous, because they saw Euronymous and his death as a loss to the scene. It's said that a cult kind of developed around the memory of Euronymous, and he was hailed as the king or godfather of black metal. After all of this, the black metal scene died down, with different styles of black metal emerging. And I'm gonna give you guys a list of them, and please let me know what you think as I go through them because they're fun. Ambient black metal, black doom, depressive suicidal black metal. This one's good. Black and roll.
I like that one. That one's good.
Blackened crust.
What do they mean by crust?
I don't like that one.
Do they mean toast? Do they mean the crust of the earth?
I was hoping toast. I was thinking toast.
Is it all about breakfast?
Blacked death doom, blackened death metal, melodic black death, war metal, blackened grindcore, blackened thrash metal.
That's the most normal thing you've said since you started this list.
I know. Folk black metal. That one gets me too. Pagan metal, Viking metal, industrial black metal.
That's just factory workers.
That's factory workers making black metal. Post black metal, psychedelic black metal, raw black metal, and of course symphonic black metal.
You say
I imagine that is an orchestra, but there's just some guy screaming.
Black metal would kind of disperse into these different other kind of metal genres. I mean, you'll still have some black metal bands around today, but it's nowhere near as huge as it was. It really was like the briefest spark for black metal. So it wasn't huge, but it's amazing how this tiny spark created this whole insane thing that I guarantee you two never even heard about.
You would be correct.
I feel like this should have been newsworthy, but we heard nothing about it.
Because it's Norway. Like they don't report on Norway.
Also, we were babies when this occurred, so we would not remember hearing about this international news.
I will say my dad didn't hear about it unless you were in the metal scene. It wasn't something that was well known to like unmetal people. Unmetal scene people.
Metal people.
Non-metal heads was right there.
Yeah, shush. It's be nice. I will give a shout out to my father, who honestly doesn't like metal anymore. He's more of a Dave Matthews, Michael Bublé kind of guy now. But thank you for lending me this book, and taking me on this journey that I got to now drag you and our listeners on. If my listeners stayed around, it got real heavy real fast. Then it got real stupid. And it got heavy, and then stupid. So what are you guys' thoughts?
I have no thoughts. No, I was expecting the way you hyped it up to us is the church burning story. I was expecting a lot more church burning.
I'm sorry.
I thought this was going to be about the church trying to burn metalheads.
Not the other way around?
Not the other way around.
Yeah, a whole music genre went on and created it. Also, why are we fucking with old churches? Stop fucking with them. A lot of them did rebuild, though. I don't think I mentioned that. A lot of them did rebuild. But still, would have been nice if we would have kept, like, the original wood and shit. You guys missed the Disney episodes yet?
No, this was the perfect story for the chaotic energy we had at the
For a
start.
Saturday night recording.
Yeah.
For Saturday night recording. I'm sorry for bringing it down, and then bringing it up, and then bringing it down, and then bringing it up. I'm trying
Was
to.
a roller coaster.
I was hoping that I wish you guys would have seen like my face when I was reading this fucking book. There were times that like I wish somebody else was in the room with me because I literally was like it felt like a friends moment or like an office moment where I just like looked in the camera and I was just like, what the fuck?
Well, I'm gonna go eat some cake now.
Yeah, you should probably you deserve that. Frankie, your episode's next.
My episode is next. I'm very excited to let you all know what we're doing. It's not wrestling, don't worry.
It's
Will
not
the
murder.
energy be chaotic?
Will
Yeah.
it be chaotic? I don't know if it will be that chaotic. I apologize for that.
I
The
thrive in
episode that
chaos.
I am going to put you guys into a sports story.
I don't know. I don't wanna
Well, you're gonna be. I
What
didn't want to
kind
go
of
to. I didn't want to go to Norway, but
That's not true. You told me in the car the one time when we were heading to Kennywood that you were excited about it.
things happen.
He had to
What-
listen to this all and he regretted his decision.
Yeah,
what
we're
kind of
gonna
sport?
we're gonna be talking about a scandal, a sports scandal.
What kind of sport though? Can I get the sport?
Baseball.
Oh,
We're gonna
okay.
be talking about the baseball scandal that led to a commissioner actually being in charge of the league. Before this story, there was no one in charge of the league, really. They kind of just ran on their own. And this happened. This level of cheating occurred that they were like, all right, we need to bring in a head boss to shut this
Well,
shit down.
well, I'm glad that you picked baseball because this is a sport that I actually know
I'm
very
glad.
well.
Yeah. We're gonna be talking about the Black Sox scandal.
The Black Sox, are they still around?
No, they were never actually officially called the Black Sox. It was the White Sox.
Are those still around?
Yes. And they're very bad this year.
There's so many socks.
There's only two Sox.
That's
I
a
know
lot of
the Red
socks.
Sox, and that's it.
The White Sox and the Red Sox. That's it. Do you know what cities
Alright.
they're in? Do you know what cities they're in?
Okay, the Red Sox. Give me a hint. Are we in the Midwest?
Northeast.
Isn't it Boston?
It is. It's Boston. The White
Okay.
Sox are in the Midwest.
Michigan.
That's not a city, but
Oh, it's a city. St. Louis.
no, it's Chicago. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the Black Sox scandal. I'm very excited to do it. Let's take care of business and wrap this episode up. If you're listening to us on YouTube, remember to like the video, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little bell so you are notified whenever an episode is uploaded each and every Wednesday morning. If you are listening to us on Spotify, remember to follow the show and answer the question that is attached to the episode about what you thought. If you would like to send us an email and you would like to ask us a question, if you want to give us an idea for an episode in the future, if you want to just give us some commentary that you don't want your name out there publicly, then you can do so over at our email address, which is
Nothing to see here podcast at gmail.com.
if you would like to see fun memes and previews and out of context images for our episodes created by Hannah, or you would like to see some great artwork done by Amanda, or participate in a weekly quiz every Friday afternoon about that week's episode, you can do so over on our Instagram page, which is
Nothing to see here pod. As always, here is spelled Hear.
Remember to share this with anyone you think will enjoy it, anyone you like, anyone you don't like. Share it around, tell people about the show, and with that, all the business is taken care of. We learned
Yeah,
about Norwegian church burnings,
Yeah, this episode is probably gonna get age gated.
and we learned about They're all marked as 18 plus, so don't worry.
Oh,
and
good.
and next week we will be learning about baseball. So with all of that being said, it's Frankie. Goodbye.
It's Hannah saying good night.
I am so sorry.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.